As we're live. We're live.
Okay, I've still got us at 7:10, Mr. Enders. At this point, we'll call the meeting to order, the Jersey Shore Area School Board, August 10th, 2020. Again, I'd like to issue an apology for us being late logging on. We were having an executive session for legal purposes prior to the beginning of tonight's meeting. So we'll call to order and then have a roll call, Mr. Enders.
Mr. Becker.
Here.
Mr. Broomgard.
Here.
Mrs. Dobler.
Here.
Mrs. Grant.
Here.
Mr. Kinley.
Here.
Mrs. Petrosky.
Here.
Mrs. Stemler.
Here.
Mrs. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Allen.
Here.
All 9 members present.
Okay. We'll mute the mics and then stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're going to need to unmute yourself, Mr. President.
Okay. Move into approval of minutes. We have minutes from July 27th, 2020. Could I have a motion to approve?
So move, Mary.
Second?
Second, Nancy.
Any questions, comments, or corrections to the minutes? Okay, Mr. Enders, can we have a roll call on every vote tonight? I forgot a couple the last meeting.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Mr. Broomgard. Did we lose Mr. Broomgard?
Left the building.
He'll be back. Just keep on going.
Mrs. Dobler.
Here. Yes.
Mrs. Grant.
Yes.
Mr. Kinley.
Yes.
Mrs. Petrosky.
Yes.
Mrs. Stemler.
You're muted.
Yes. Couldn't you see my lips move? Yeah.
Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
9-0 or 8-0.
Okay, communications. Dr. Ulmer.
I just wanted to share under communications that I received over the weekend a news story that was actually pushed out by Jeff Sultanic, who is a solicitor for multiple school districts, but it was a study done by a research firm, and what they did was they ranked school districts in the state based on their equitable funding. Equitable, as they defined it, was the amount of money they were spending on every student versus what the household income in the district was. They ranked the school districts in the state 1 to 499, 1 being the best and 499 being the worst. We were the best in Lycoming County, and we were also the best among all of our neighboring school districts. So we were ranked 142 out of 499. The others in our area were anywhere from 148 to 362 out of 499. So that speaks to the amount of money that we're spending per student versus our household income.
Very good news.
Yes.
Dr. Ulmer, did you want to make any mention of the information from Harrisburg this afternoon?
I will say that I had multiple meetings today and conference calls related to the updated guidance from the Department of Ed today that ranks counties as low, moderate, and high transmission of COVID rates. We are continuing to monitor that guidance. I will get a communication out to families tomorrow regarding that. And we will also, because of that guidance, be asking families at this point if they either want to change their mind about what they put on the survey, or if they haven't taken the survey, give them another chance to take the survey. But again, because we're giving parents the option, we feel strongly that we're meeting the guidance and allowing people to be able to make the best choice, but to make the safest choice for them.
They weren't going back to school.
It's a recommendation, but
Okay, President's report, and I guess this is kind of an editorial comment, and to reinforce Dr. Ulmer's statement at the last meeting that the school districts in the state continue to kind of have to plan by the moment. It's something that's been in existence since we started the COVID evolution that we're on now. As early as March 13th, we had a meeting hosted by Department of Education and PSBA that talked about what we should do as far as closing schools. And during that meeting in the morning, the PDE guidance was that it would be a district by district local decision. By 3 p.m. that day, we were informed that all PA schools were ordered to be closed. So we still continue to respond as best we can and as quickly as we can. So I would just recommend that anybody that wants to look at the data that we have or the frequently asked questions, that they're on the website. And the one thing to pay attention to closely is the date of that particular document, because as we update them, the date will change. So if you see a new date, that will give you the idea that there are updates to the previous document. So if everybody would just be supportive, and we all want to get back to school for the kids, and we all want to have our fall sports and play football or soccer or golf or whatever the kids do. But a lot of that seems to get up in the air because of things that happen in Harrisburg that are out of our control. So just asking everybody to be patient. IU report, Mrs. Petrosky.
The bulk of our meeting there was going over the health and safety plan for the IU, and that's mostly what the meeting was about. That's all I have.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Ulmer.
So I have multiple things attached to the agenda. First two things, or first set of policies. Last time, I presented policies to you for review, and I did get feedback. Thank you to those who provided feedback. Those policies that we looked at last time and you got a chance to give feedback on, they're on for first read tonight. The set of policies that are on tonight, I know it looks, I told you I was going to go in order. These are out of order because all of the policies on your agenda for my presentation tonight were impacted by the new Title IX law, which goes into effect this Friday. Because we do not have all of the policies yet from PSBA, I got another notice today that there are more policy changes coming that are impacted by the Title IX law. The resolution on the agenda tonight protects the district. Basically, you're saying we're going to comply with the new Title IX law, and we're going to work to change all of the policies impacted by that new law immediately so that we're in compliance. The administrative team and I attended a training today, and we'll have day 2 of training tomorrow about all of those Title IX requirements, which you'll see in some of those policies. We have to identify positions who are going to do things like be the Title IX coordinator, be the investigator, be the decision maker, be the appeals officer. There are a significant number of changes coming in Title IX and what the district is obligated to do. And unfortunately, they all take effect this Friday. So we're frantically trying to get policies changed. And that's what you're seeing in this set. 247 under hazing, 249 under bullying and cyberbullying, 252 dating violence, 317 educator misconduct, and 824 maintaining professional and the adult and student boundaries. The changes in those policies are because of the changes in the Title IX law. I do understand, I had one comment already that the district did previously make some district edits to policy 824 when it came out regarding what was suggested. It was not the same as what we approved, and we can go back and make those edits as long as we still maintain what Title IX requires. So if there's things that you as a board member see that you took out of 824 before that we want to take out again, unfortunately, I'll need you to tell me that because I wasn't here then, but we can make those changes before the first read and make sure that as long as we're holding true to Title IX, we're okay. Any questions about those policies?
Only that I have concern about policy 252. I'm not sure how we really get involved with that, but that just seems like something that we wouldn't even be involved with or even have a clue to.
That's part of the training that I get to do.
That just seems out of place for school districts. That's just my opinion.
Well, but it could come into play at the prom or a school dance or something like that where they're on school grounds on social time after school hours.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. It just seems like it's something that we would not be involved with at all.
And it is specifically addressed in the new Title IX law, so we do have to have something in policy about it. But I think you're right in that there are situations where it may come to school and we have to deal with it and respond to it, regardless of whether it's happening in school or not. The other two things on the agenda under B, the pre-K counts agreement, those were just on here for your review. We will have to take action on those at the next meeting. Dr. Dady, do you want to say anything about those?
These are the same contracts that you approve every year. They're just updated. The amounts that they're funded through the state has not changed, so the numbers will look very similar. It's still 18 kids in each program, and we're basically the pass-through agency for the two pre-K counts programs that the state funds through pre-K counts.
So those agreements, does it cost our district money?
No, actually what happens is there's around $10,000 that comes to us as the administering agent. Basically, we oversee it, and I do the evaluations for the 2 teachers that teach in those classrooms.
Okay, thanks.
And your number 317, which is basically new, is there other ones that extend to other employees? It seems to me like this is just talking about the certified person.
Yeah, that's why that's listed the way it's listed. I'm assuming there's more coming because we just got another notice from PSBA today that there's more policies available that are impacted by Title IX. So it could just be a matter of they did the educator one first, and we'll get staff and administrator next.
Okay.
And Dr. Ulmer, I don't know if you want to say, or if you can say as part of your report, just for the public's sake, as to why we are meeting virtually instead of in the boardroom?
That's good point. I can. So there is language in the latest governor's order, not the one today, the last one, that we are bound by 2 rules. We can only have 25 people at a gathering inside and 250 people at a gathering outside. They specifically excluded academics. So in a school setting, if you are instructing, you're not bound by those 2 requirements. But they clarified that board meetings, staff meetings, athletic events, extracurricular activities, they are all bound by those 25 in-person and 250 out in-person, inside and outside requirements. So our issue is if we were to have an in-person board meeting, we would not be able to have more than 25 people in the room. That includes the board, the administrators present, people working the tech to live stream the meeting, the solicitor, and we would have to stop letting people in to be in the public part of the room when we hit 25. We would have to cap that number. And they specifically wrote a clarification that does not apply to the classroom environment. So I know that sounds crazy, but that is what the guidance says that we got.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Hey, is there any need to go into executive session before going through the remainder of the agenda? Any changes or anything that we need to look at?
I do not have any changes.
Okay. All right. It's 7:28, and Pat, if you can open up for phone calls.
As a reminder, the phone number is 570-398-5576.
And while we're on hold waiting for phone calls, we did get an email from a parent, and I'll read that email into the public comment section. To whom it may concern, first let me express my appreciation of all the hard work everyone has put forth developing a return to school plan. I realize it is a daunting task, and the situation changes constantly and requires constant monitoring and flexibility. I'm eager for my child to return to school in the traditional classroom setting because I feel that is where my child learns best. I'd like to express several questions I have with the return to school fast approaching, and hope that you can offer clarification. The writer then went over 5 questions, and Dr. Ulmer will be answering those in the frequently asked questions section. For those of you listening that have not been able to find that section of the website, if you log on to the main page of the website, over in the upper right-hand corner, there's a tab for that says reopening schools. It's to the far right-hand side of the upper section, And then there's two sub-tabs underneath that. One is a health and safety plan, and the other is returning to learning. So if you click into the returning to learning, that's where the frequently asked questions that we've received are already posted. And that's also the page where you would enter any new questions you may have. Several of these were already answered or are a very similar question. So I won't go through all 5 of those questions. I'll just read the closing paragraph then. Again, I understand this is a fluid situation and you may not have all the answers right now, if ever. But any clarification you can offer on what the return to school will look like for our students would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time, Jessica Bubniak. And Jessica's her child goes to the Salisbury School. So that, as far as I know, is the only written correspondence we received for public comment. Hope I got that in my 3 minutes.
You did. We've been in public comment for 3 minutes. I have not gotten anything from Pat yet.
Am I live right now?
Yes, you are.
All right, this is Bob
Again,
Fox
if you're trying to reach
from
us, the phone number is
beautiful Pine Creek Township.
570-398-5576.
I would like to make a comment on Miscellaneous A and Miscellaneous D on the agenda tonight.
It sounds like we have a caller.
Miscellaneous A deals with the district feasibility study. I assume it is to look at closing schools and a new football stadium, or I guess sports stadium. This is at least the 3rd time we're looking into closing Avis and Salisbury. And personally, I am thankful that they are open for this school year due to having the room to socially distance students if mandated by the governor. I believe that the cost for this study is around $45,000 as per the presentation from the One Design Group. We currently, if I am correct, have a budget deficit of over $1 million, and we had voted for a no tax increase this year. I wonder if this year is a good time to invest our time and money into this study, given the unknowns for this school year with the global pandemic going on. I'm not saying that this should or shouldn't be done. I'm just questioning the timing of it for this school year. On another comment on that, at the last in-person school board meeting, there was another citizen that voiced its concern on school board members having personal agendas. And I'm just wondering if that comment was because of trying to bring up closing schools so many times. My other comment is on the reopening plan. As I understand it from the online posting, every family has 3 options. They can all be in school. Their student could be in school every day, a hybrid option, or all remote. And I was just wondering, does the district have a plan if everyone is forced into just one option, everybody hybrid or everybody remote? Because we obviously can handle everybody in school because that's what we normally do. So thank you very much for your time. Keep up the good work. This is a difficult time that we're in, and we'll all get through this together. Thank you.
Okay, caller, did you identify yourself in the beginning of the call?
Yes, Mr. Allen, sorry, we had a muted mic there. His name was Bob Fox.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any objection to limiting this to another 2 minutes? Or would somebody like to make a motion we close courtesy of the floor?
Hello, Jersey Shore School District Board meeting. Can you please state
Hi,
your name?
I have a question for the board.
Yes, may you state your name and where you're calling from, please?
My name's Ray Beerley. I'm from Piatt Township.
I believe you're good, Mrs. Beerley.
What's that again?
I believe you're live.
Okay, thank you. Hi, this is Ray Beerley from Piatt Township. I have a question with regard to the statement from the governor and Department of Health today. I was looking at Lycoming County's data, and according to that, we are well above the 10 case per 100,000 for classifying us as a district at moderate risk of spread. And we are nearly at the 5%. We're at 4.7% of positive cases, which would then classify us as a moderate district. And my question is, if that trend continues, will the district, as is recommended by the governor, move to a hybrid plan for all students?
Everybody on the board, were you able to acknowledge the conversation?
Yes, we heard the conversation.
Thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Any suggestions for extending the public comment further? Any objections to closing public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. It is 7:39. Thank you. Moving on to personnel. We have items A through F under personnel.
So moved, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Second, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne. Any questions, comments, corrections to those agenda items? Hearing none, Mr. Enders, could you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Becker,
Yes.
Mr. Brungard,
Mr. Brungard's mic is muted.
Yes.
Mrs. Dobler,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant,
Just to be clear, this is E, correct?
Personnel, yes.
that is correct.
Thank you.
Can you give me your vote, Mrs. Grant?
I'm sorry, I didn't go through. Yes.
Mr. Kinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Petrosky,
Yes.
Mrs. Stemler,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
9-0, 9-0.
Okay, that agenda passed. Moving on to curriculum instruction. We have only one item, A, which is second read for the Jersey Shore Online Learning Policy 124.1.
So moved, Mary.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Thomas and Mr. Brungard. Any questions, comments, or corrections? Okay, hearing none, can we have a roll call, Mr. Enders?
Mr. Becker,
Yes.
Mr. Brungard,
Yes.
Mrs. Dobler,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Kinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Petrosky,
Yes.
Mrs. Stemler,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
9-0.
And on to miscellaneous. We have items A through D. A and B are essentially connected to one another, so if we could have a motion on A and B separate from the remaining items.
So moved.
Second?
Second. Wayne.
Okay, any questions, comments on A or B?
Did we put a name in there?
I just think at this time that it's not a good time to be passing this. You might want to explain to the public, I know I have had a lot of complaints from constituents in regard to this, what this study is for. That's all.
I agree with Mrs. Dobler. I do not think now is the time for this.
And I do not either. And at the very least, I think maybe we should have a separate work session meeting, maybe to discuss it. Or, I think it definitely should be tabled and we should not be voting on this at this point in time.
We have a motion and a second to approve, so we'll take whatever action comes out of it.
We're doing just the one or both of them?
We're going to do the one first,
Oh, okay.
And then anybody that wants to nominate the actual vendor will do the B separately. So there'll be 2 separate votes.
Okay, thanks. I misunderstood that.
Sorry.
So Mr. Allen, would you clarify what the first vote is on then, whether we're going to?
The first vote is whether to
But I believe I know what it is.
the first A is whether to authorize conducting a feasibility study. And B would be to name, if we approve A, would be to name the recommended vendor to perform the study.
I thought so. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, let's do a roll call on A, Mr. Enders.
Item A. Mr. Becker,
Yes.
Mr. Brungard,
Yes.
Mrs. Dobler,
No.
Mrs. Grant,
No.
Mr. Kinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Petrosky,
No.
Mrs. Stemler,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
No.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
motion passes 5-4.
At this point, then, we'll have a nomination to which of the vendors we want to choose to do the study. It's Hunt or McKissick.
I'll make a motion for Hunt Architecture Firm.
Thank you, Mr. Brungard.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. Any other comments specifically to item B? Okay, hearing none, we'll have a roll call, Mr. Enders.
Mr. Becker,
So just to be clear, I'm voting yes for Hunt?
For Hunt, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Brungard,
Yes.
Mrs. Dobler,
No.
Mrs. Grant,
No.
Mr. Kinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Petrosky,
No.
Mrs. Stemler,
Yeah.
Mrs. Thomas,
No.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
motion passes 5-4.
Okay, at this time, could we have a motion for items C and D of the C, D, and E of the miscellaneous agenda?
Does E have to be separate the way it's worded on the page or not, Craig? Because under adopt an interim motion as motion made by, is that, why is that written that way?
That's the resolution, I believe, that was prepared and was in the
It's the
board
attachment.
attachments. And that was the one that Dr. Ulmer spoke about earlier, that we don't have all the policies in hand yet from PSBA.
Right,
we're
but it doesn't have
providing
to be voted on separate. It can be together. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's just titled interim motion rather than what you would normally see, which is a resolution.
Okay, all right. So moved, Mary, for C, D, and E.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I have a second.
Second.
Any additional questions on C, D, and E?
I just want to say before the board votes on the 2 changes to the plan, one was a typo, the other was moving based on the last set of the previous to today's set of governor's guidance to the virtual open houses. rather than in person for K6 and 9, so we comply with that 25-person gathering rule. As of the close of the survey, 75% of our families did respond. 75% of our families that responded or with lack of response wanted in person. 12% chose hybrid, 13% chose virtual. I did say earlier, families should expect to receive a communication from me tomorrow. We are going to reopen that survey for another week. If families want to change their mind based on the newest set of guidance, I will reopen that survey with a communication tomorrow. If you haven't taken the survey previously, we encourage you to take it again. If you want to change your mind, we encourage you to retake the survey, and we will remove old responses, but that will give families a chance to change their mind on what they want to do based on the newly released guidance.
Thank you, Dr. Ulmer.
I have a question.
Okay.
How will the new recommendation from PDE affect this plan? I'm kind of a little puzzled how the time frame works here on this plan. Can you explain that again?
So the plan is our explanation to PDE of how we're going to handle instruction for people that are in the building. We can have virtual or hybrid instruction, but the plan governs what happens when a kid comes in the door and how we're going to keep them safe.
In other words, we're still going with the 3 options that are in the plan.
Correct.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing no additional questions, could we do a roll call vote, Mr. Enders?
Mr. Becker,
Yes.
Mr. Broomgard,
No.
Mrs. Dobler,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Kinley,
Yes.
Mrs. Petrosky,
Yes.
Mrs. Stemler,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Allen, Mr. Allen,
Yes.
8-1.
Okay, and in the past, our practice has been to include any comments, whether they're about a agenda item or not, in the first courtesy of the floor. So we'll bypass K. And that is the end of tonight's agenda. Anything else for the good of the board?
So no executive session at this point?
I don't believe Dr. Ulmer had any additional need.
I do not.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second. Third.
Keep it up, we'll have all the votes taken care of. Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.